They said only those born with mana deserve to live. The rest of us are just waiting to die. In the kingdom of Vardis, magic is everything. Your strength, your name, your very right to exist, all are decided by the mana flowing through your veins. And for unveils, that flow never came. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a mage. He was a mistake. Yet fate, cruel as ever, had been watching him. On the night of his 15th birthday, the skies cracked open. The moon split in two, bleeding light across the kingdom. The earth trembled, and something ancient awoke. A roar unlike anything human echoed across the valley. The sound of a creature that belonged to no age, no god, no mercy. Leon stood frozen as his village burned. His friends screamed. His mother reached out and vanished in the fire. Powerless, helpless, worthless. But death would not be his end, because when his heart stopped beating, another world began calling his name. Rise, child of failure. Your rebirth has begun. The flames of Vardis danced higher than the towers of its capital that night. Leon ran through the streets, his lungs burning, his skin blistered by the heat. Everywhere, people screamed, soldiers, mages, even priests, all devoured by fire. A massive shadow moved through the smoke. The creature's roar shattered glass, and its steps cracked the earth. The dragon of cinders, someone whispered before being swallowed by flame. Leon tripped and fell. His knees scraped on cobblestone. He tried to stand, but his legs refused. He saw his home collapsing, the sky glowing red, and in that chaos, his mother's figure, reaching for him. "Run, Leon," she shouted. But the fire took her voice before her words could finish. Leon's world went silent. For the first time, he didn't feel fear, only rage. "If I had power, if I had even a spark," he muttered through tears, "I could have saved them." The beast turned, its molten eyes locking on the boy. It opened its jaws, a torrent of fire pouring toward him. Leon didn't move. The light consumed him, and then there was nothing. Darkness, cold, silence. Time had no meaning in that place. Leon floated in an endless void, neither alive nor dead. Then a voice reached him, deep, resonant, ancient. "You have been broken by your world, child of ashes. But every broken thing can be remade." A light appeared before him, swirling like liquid gold. It shaped itself into a figure cloaked in runes. Leon tried to speak, but no sound came. "You seek power. I offer you rebirth," the being said. But power is never free. Visions flooded Leon's mind. 1,000 worlds burning, gods falling, creatures rising from forgotten ages. "Who are you?" he whispered. "I am the architect, the one who binds souls to their next beginning." The being reached toward him. "You were born empty. I will fill you with what your world denied you, the essence of mana itself." The light pierced his chest. Pain unlike any he'd ever known tore through him. Symbols, glowing, ancient, divine, carved themselves across his skin. "Bear the mark of Genesis. Carry the curse of rebirth. You shall awaken in a world that remembers what yours forgot." Then the void shattered. Leon gasped, and air filled his lungs again. When Leon opened his eyes, he wasn't in Vardis anymore. The air was warm and heavy with the scent of glowing flowers. The ground beneath him shimmered like glass, and strange, translucent trees reached toward a sky split by two suns. His body felt different, stronger, lighter. He lifted his hand and saw faint runes glowing beneath his skin. "It wasn't a dream," he whispered. He stood, gazing at the endless golden field around him. Floating islands drifted overhead, and in the distance, he could see the ruins of a city suspended in the clouds. A crystal butterfly landed on his palm. It dissolved into light, sinking into his hand. Instantly, knowledge flooded his mind. Names of stars, fragments of ancient languages, spells older than gods. "This world," he murmured, "it's alive." But then a shadow passed over him. He turned and saw a beast, unlike the dragon that destroyed his world. This one was smaller, made of mist and light, yet its eyes were filled with hunger. Leon stepped back. Instinctively, he raised his hand, and fire burst forth, bright and wild. The creature screamed and vanished in smoke. Leon stared at his hand in disbelief. "I did that?" He clenched his fist. Flames danced between his fingers. For the first time in his life, he smiled. So this is power. Above him, the two suns shifted, aligning perfectly for a moment, casting the world in red and gold. From the horizon, a whisper carried on the wind. "Welcome to Etheria, arcane reborn." As the two suns drifted apart, the glowing runes beneath Leon's skin began to move, shifting, swirling, forming patterns he didn't understand. He felt them burn inside him, a pulse of raw power that refused to stay still. "What is this?" His voice echoed across the golden plain. In response, faint whispers rippled through the air, as though the world itself had heard him. Suddenly, the symbols on his right arm blazed. He fell to his knees, gripping the earth, as the light carved a mark into his flesh, a circle with intersecting lines, ancient and alive. The moment it was complete, the air around him vibrated. The ground cracked, and a ring of energy burst outward, flattening the grass in every direction. When the pain faded, Leon could feel something watching him, a consciousness woven into the sigil itself. "Heir of Genesis," the voice inside him said, "your soul has been rewritten. The power of creation now sleeps within you, but every creation demands sacrifice." "Who are you?" Leon shouted. "I am the mark you carry, the memory of what once was." Before he could ask more, the presence vanished, leaving only silence and the faint hum of power in his veins. Leon looked at the mark again. It shimmered faintly under the light. "Sigil of Genesis," he murmured. "So that's what you are." He didn't know it yet, but that mark would one day shake the balance of worlds. Days passed. Leon wandered across the strange land of Etheria, learning through trial and error. He discovered that the energy flowing through him wasn't like normal mana. It was denser, alive, and unpredictable. When he tried to form a simple flame, the sky darkened. When he whispered a minor barrier spell, the wind itself bent to his will. "This power, it's too much," he muttered, sweat dripping down his face. He sat near a crystal lake, its surface reflecting two suns and his own glowing eyes. A book floated in the water, its cover made of stone, its pages shining faintly. When he touched it, symbols rearranged themselves into words he could somehow understand. "The Codex of Arcanum," he read aloud. Inside were instructions, spells, rituals, warnings. At the bottom of one page, a line caught his attention. "Those who bear Genesis need not chant. Their will alone shapes the elements." Leon's eyes widened. "So I don't need words, only intent." He raised his hand toward the sky. The air thickened, trembling with potential. "Let's see what I can really do." He imagined the flames that once devoured his home and turned that memory into strength. The air exploded. A massive firestorm spiraled upward, touching the clouds before vanishing into sparks. He fell to his knees, panting, but smiling, not weak anymore. That night, as the sun set and the world turned crimson, Leon dreamed. He saw himself as a child again, standing in the ashes of Vardis. But something was different. The sky above shimmered like glass, and shadowy figures stood watching him from beyond the flames. One of them spoke. "Even in death, you cannot escape what you were." He tried to move, but the ground clutched his legs like chains. "Who are you?" The figure stepped closer, its face a blur of smoke. "We are your past, your regrets, and your sins. You carry us wherever you go." The scene shattered. He awoke gasping, drenched in sweat. The sigil on his arm glowed faintly, responding to the dream. "Was that just memory?" he whispered. A whisper echoed inside his mind, faint but familiar. "Not memory. Warning." Leon stood looking to the horizon. A storm was brewing, clouds swirling unnaturally fast. The world of Etheria was changing, and somewhere out there, something or someone had just sensed that the sigil of Genesis had awakened once again. For 3 days, Leon wandered across the edge of a vast forest shrouded in fog. He hadn't seen another soul until the mist began to glow. Out of the haze emerged a small settlement, hidden beneath towering silver trees. Lanterns hung in the air, floating without chains. "A village," he whispered. The people here were strange. Their eyes shimmered faintly, their voices soft and echoing, almost like whispers carried by wind. A woman approached, wearing a cloak of feathers. "Traveler, you bear the mark," she said, staring at his arm. "You can see it?" She nodded. "Few can hide it from the Mistborn. The sigil calls to us." The villagers gave him food, a place to rest. For the first time since his death, Leon felt something close to peace. That night, the woman, her name was Saris, told him about Etheria. "This world was built upon the ruins of another," she said. "Mana flows through every living thing, but it's thinning. The balance is dying." Leon listened quietly. "And my sigil?" Saris's eyes darkened. "It's the mark of the first mages, the ones who created this world, but no one should carry it now. Not unless fate demands it." He didn't answer. Deep down, he already knew. Fate had already chosen. The next morning, Saris brought him to a gathering place at the center of the village, a circle of glowing stones. "Every soul who enters our land must prove their mana," she said. "It's our law." Around him, villagers gathered to watch. Some whispered, others laughed at his young face and worn clothes. A tall man stepped forward, his arms covered in glowing tattoos. "If he fails," the man said coldly, "he leaves." Saris raised her hand. "Unveils of Vardis, step into the circle." Leon swallowed hard. The ground beneath his feet hummed. Symbols ignited beneath him, testing the flow of energy inside. The first pulse came, weak. Murmurs rose. "He's empty," someone said, "like the old myths." The second pulse hit. The stones cracked. The third pulse exploded outward. Light burst from Leon's body, shooting into the sky like lightning. The crowd fell silent. When the glow faded, every stone around him floated off the ground. Leon stood at the center, eyes glowing gold. Saris whispered, "By the gods." The tall man stumbled back. "What are you?" Leon's voice was calm. "I don't know, but I'm done being weak." From that day on, no one in the village of Mist dared to question the boy with the mark of Genesis. News of the boy who shattered the trial stones spread quickly. Within days, a messenger from the Arcane Academy, the great fortress of mages, arrived at the village gates. "The council summons the one marked by Genesis," he announced. Saris warned him not to go. "The academy will use you, Leon. Power like yours attracts chains." "If I want to control this," he said, glancing at his glowing arm, "I need to learn." The journey to the academy took 3 days by skyship. Etheria's floating lands drifted beneath him like broken stars. When he arrived, the academy rose before him, a city built into the clouds, towers of crystal and steel. Students trained in vast courtyards, weaving spells through the air like ribbons of light. But one pair of eyes followed him, cold, sharp, and filled with jealousy. "So this is the so-called reborn mage," said a tall boy in silver robes. His name was Cale Draven, top of his class, heir to one of the great houses. "Careful, Cale," another whispered. "The sigil on his arm means nothing. Power without lineage is still filth." Leon met Cale's gaze, unflinching. "Maybe," he said quietly, "but filth burns hotter than you think." That was the first day their rivalry began, one that would decide the fate of more than just the Academy. The Arcane Academy was unlike anything Leon had ever seen. Its halls were endless, staircases that led to floating rooms, libraries that moved like living creatures. The air hummed with magic so dense it could almost be seen. But not all knowledge here was free. Deep beneath the Academy, sealed behind runes of protection, lay the Forbidden Library, a place where ancient spells and lost histories slept. Leon first heard of it from an old caretaker who whispered, "Those who enter it never leave the same." Curiosity gnawed at him. His sigil reacted whenever he passed near the lower levels, as if something inside was calling. One night, under the pale glow of twin moons, he followed the pull. The runes that barred the gate flickered and opened at his touch. Inside, shelves stretched beyond sight. The books were chained, whispering in forgotten tongues. At the center stood a crystal sphere. Within it, an ember of golden light. The moment he reached for it, the sigil on his arm ignited. "Bearer of Genesis," a voice echoed from the sphere. "You have come for what was once yours." Visions flashed through his mind. Cities of light, wars between gods, the creation of Etheria itself. When he opened his eyes, the ember was gone, absorbed into his body. "What did I just do?" he gasped. The sphere cracked. Alarms thundered through the Academy. He had awakened something that should have stayed buried. The next morning, the sky above the Academy darkened, the twin suns dimmed, eclipsed by swirling storm clouds. Professors shouted, wards flared, and magic surged out of control. From the northern tower came a roar, deep, primal, ancient. Students screamed as a shadow tore through the sky, a massive winged creature made of fire and bone. "Aether beast," someone cried. "It's impossible. They were extinct." Cale Draven, ever proud, raised his staff. "Everyone, form a barrier." But the beast shattered it with a single scream. In the chaos, Leon felt the mark on his arm burn hotter than ever. The same energy that drew him to the library now surged wildly through him. Ceres's warning echoed in his mind. "Power like yours attracts chains." He closed his eyes, steadied his breath. "If this is my fault," flames burst from his hands. "Then I'll end it." He leapt into the air, golden light spiraling around him. The beast turned its molten eyes toward him, recognition flickering in its gaze. "Genesis, bearer," it growled. "You know me. You created me." The creature lunged, and the battle shook the sky. Fire met flame, light clashed with shadow, and the Academy below trembled as ancient forces collided once again. The battle lasted until dawn. When the smoke cleared, half the Academy lay in ruins. The beast's body dissolved into ash, but before it vanished, it spoke. "The seal is broken. The shadows are coming." Leon collapsed to his knees, exhausted. Cale approached him, eyes cold. "You brought this here, didn't you? You opened something you shouldn't have." "I was only trying to understand." "Understand? You nearly destroyed us." The other students murmured in fear. The council mages soon arrived, surrounding Leon. "Take him to the lower chambers," the headmaster ordered, "until we learn what he's done." As they dragged him away, Leon looked back at the rising sun, the same light that once burned his home. "The shadows are coming," he whispered, "and none of you are ready." That night, deep within his cell, the sigil flared again. A whisper spoke inside his mind, calm and ancient. You cannot stop what is begun, but you can choose how it ends. Lian closed his eyes. Then show me what I have to do. The light from the sigil filled the room, and the chains around his wrists began to melt. When Lian escaped the academy, the world outside had already begun to change. Entire cities were vanishing overnight, swallowed by black fog. Mana storms raged across the sky, tearing mountains apart. Rumors spread that the reborn mage had caused it all. They say he awakened the Genesis sigil, a soldier whispered. The world's falling apart because of him. Lian watched from afar as the banners of Vardis, his old homeland, burned. The same kingdom that once called him worthless was now gone, reduced to ash by creatures born of shadow. It's happening again, he murmured. He found Ceres at the edge of a ruined temple. Her cloak was torn, her eyes weary. The beast you fought, she said quietly, was just the first. The others are waking. The others? There were 7, guardians of creation, now corrupted by time. When you touched the ember of Genesis, you broke their seal. Silence fell between them. Then I'll fix it, Lian said, even if I have to face them all. Ceres smiled faintly. That's not courage, Lian. That's guilt. Maybe, but guilt's the only thing keeping me human. In the distance, the last towers of the old world collapsed, and the new age of chaos began. Days blurred into nights as Lian hunted the corrupted beasts, one by one. Each victory made him stronger and emptier. The sigil on his arms spread, crawling across his chest and neck like veins of fire. With every spell he cast, part of him faded. You're burning yourself out, Ceres warned. If I stop, everything dies, he said. And if you continue, you'll die. He smiled weakly. Then at least I'll finally be useful. One night, as rain fell across the ruins of an ancient capital, he faced the third beast, a massive serpent made of glass and lightning. The battle tore the heavens apart. When it ended, the creature shattered, and so did his restraint. The Genesis sigil consumed his right eye, turning it into molten gold. His voice no longer sounded human. What are you becoming? Ceres whispered. What I was meant to be, he said, staring at his reflection in a pool of blood. The price was always my soul. Lian collapsed in a cave after the serpent battle. For the first time, he slept without dreams. When he awoke, someone was standing at the entrance, a figure cloaked in white. You, he whispered. It can't be. She stepped closer, her face illuminated by faint light. Mother? She smiled sadly. Only what remains of her, my son. The air shimmered. She wasn't truly there, just a fragment left behind by the old world. You've walked far from who you were, she said softly. But you're still chasing the same thing. Redemption? No, forgiveness. Lian looked down at his hands. The glow of the sigil pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. I thought I was saving this world, he said. But all I've done is break it faster. Then rebuild it, she said. Rebirth isn't about returning. It's about becoming something new. Her form began to fade. He reached out, but his hand passed through light. Wait. Don't wait for the end, Lian, she whispered. Become it. When she vanished, the storm outside broke. For the first time, the world was silent. And in that silence, Lian decided he would stop running from what he was. The storm had passed, but the world was no longer the same. When Lian emerged from the cave, the land stretched before him like a battlefield. Cities crumbled, rivers glowed red with mana, and the air itself hummed with ancient energy. He could feel every heartbeat, every spark of life across Etheria. The sigil was no longer just a mark. It had become part of the world. So this is it, he murmured, the true rebirth. From the horizon, a glow appeared. Golden armies rising from the ashes, following the one who bore the mark of creation. They were not human. They were echoes, constructs of light, drawn to the Genesis energy. Ceres appeared beside him, her body wrapped in scars from mana storms. "You've become a beacon," she said quietly. "Even gods would envy what you are now." "I didn't want this," Leon said. "But if power's all I have left, then I'll use it to end what I started." He raised his hand, and the sky ignited. The armies bowed, the world trembled. The arcane reborn had risen, and with him, the final war had begun. Etheria burned. Under a blood-red moon, legions of corrupted beasts clashed with the light-born soldiers of Genesis. Mountains shattered, oceans boiled, and the sky tore apart in streaks of fire. Leon stood at the center of it all, his cloak torn, his eyes burning with gold. Across the battlefield, Kale Draven, his old rival, appeared again, his body now twisted by shadow mana. "You brought this war," Kale shouted. "You tore open the veil between worlds." "Then let me end it," Leanne replied. Their clash split the heavens. Kale's blade screamed with void energy. Leanne's hands glowed with the light of creation. For every spell Kale cast, Leanne countered with pure will. Fire turned to light and light to destruction. Finally, Kale's weapon shattered, but before he fell, he smiled. "You're no savior, Leanne. You're the new god you feared to become." Kale vanished into dust. Leanne dropped to his knees, surrounded by silence. The blood moon pulsed, and from its core, something ancient stirred. A colossal shadow spread across the sky, its voice shaking the land. "Genesis, you've awakened me again." The final guardian had returned, the first and oldest creation of the architect itself. The voice that filled the heavens was neither male nor female. It was the sound of time itself remembering. "You were never meant to exist, Leon Vale," it said. "The Genesis sigil was supposed to die with the last age." Leon stood, his power flickering. "Then why bring me back?" "Because creation craves a destroyer. To be reborn, the world must first be broken." The entity took shape, a titan of light and shadow, its face mirrored, its eyes infinite. Every breath it took erased mountains. Every word it spoke rewrote reality. Leon looked up at it and saw himself reflected in its eyes. "You're me," he whispered. "I am what you will become if you lose yourself," the being said. The Genesis was not a gift. It was a curse, to test whether humanity deserved power. Leon clenched his fists. "Then I'll break the curse." The Titan laughed. "No one can destroy Genesis, not even its bearer." "Then I'll rewrite it." He reached toward the sigil, and the mark exploded in light, engulfing both of them in a storm that erased the line between God and man. In that moment, Etheria remembered everything: the creation, the fall, and the endless cycle of rebirth. And at its center, a single soul refused to vanish. The storm of light and shadow devoured everything. When it finally cleared, there was only silence, an endless field of white. Leanne floated in it, alone. His body was gone. Only his soul remained, pulsing faintly with the last spark of Genesis. A voice echoed across eternity, the same voice that once guided him. "Child of failure, you stand where creation ends." Before him appeared the architect, the being of light who had once given him rebirth. "So this is what I've become," Leanne said. "A destroyer." "Not destroyer," the architect replied. "Judge, every age needs one." "Then why show me pain? Why make me lose everything?" "Because only those who've lost all things can decide what should live." The architect raised a hand. Two visions unfolded before Leon. On one side, Etheria reborn, peaceful, bright, alive. On the other, the same world in ruin, cleansed of magic, free of gods. "One choice," the voice said. "Save creation, and the curse continues. End it, and all power dies with you. Leon closed his eyes. He saw Ceres's smile, Kale's final words, his mother's face. If power brings nothing but loss, he whispered, then the world doesn't need it. The architect's eyes widened. You would end your own light. No, Leon said softly. I'd pass it on. He pressed his hand against his chest and shattered the sigil. The explosion of light spread across all worlds. The skies of Etheria turned pure white, and for one endless heartbeat, time itself stopped. Then, everything began anew. The scars vanished. The broken lands healed. The mana storms faded into quiet winds. The beasts of shadow turned to dust, and new stars bloomed in the heavens. Far below, in a quiet village by a silver river, a child was born. His mother looked into his glowing eyes, golden like the suns of Etheria, and smiled. Leon, she whispered. The baby reached out, touching her cheek. Outside, dawn broke, the first sunrise of a world reborn. High above, in the eternal sky, a single voice lingered in the wind. Rebirth is not an ending. It's a promise. And with that, the cycle closed, until the day the world would need its arcane reborn once more.